Okay, so I guess this is part 4. We did a whole length of video talking about what happened on the miracle on the thing. And so I'm going to have to go back and do it over again. Not the part I just shot. Um, so I think I said where I came down on the 16th and there was the X across my floor. I taped it off and then I had my realtor come and do the the GPS on it. The reason I was doing this in the first place was we lived on a peninsula and I was doing star research. And as it turned out, that I needed to know the exact northwest, east, west, north, south orientation, and his phone did that for us. Now, I don't know how much of I lost. I think I lost a lot. On the 14th day was the X and the, I mean, was the light the first time. 16th day, which was Tuesday, was the X, which would stay with me for here. The 15th day was Monday, and that was the day that I found out after the event, after I'd done what the spirit world wanted me to do, after I'd sacrificed, that I found out that my daughter was told by her nanny, by her people that she nannied for, to take the little girl down to the Boston Marathon and stand there at the finish line and watch it end. So a voice told my daughter to go far away into the commons, into the park. She did. She carried the little girl away. And so, of course, the bomb went off at the finish line. Because I had done what I had done, I saved my daughter. So, and you could say, well, she could have walked away anyway. She would not have. And so, and it turned out that there was a cameraman down there that later showed up in Peterborough, and he was telling me about it. And he was also there. And next to his van was one of the backpacks that didn't go off. So they wanted me to get together with him. He gave me a cap with a skull on it. Everybody that had anything to do with my daughter or her connections through a job or whatever through Monterey, California, were saved. So that was very cool. It was soon after that that I used the markings from the house and the columns and all of that to do the theory book. It's called The Cosmic Universe from My Kitchen, which is a fiction I wrote about a guy that's talked to by a stove, and from the cosmic universe. And from that, I made a theory book. I drew mandalas that I started seeing in my head, beautiful ones. And then I wrote 22 theories about reality, about everything. And that hasn't been published, but it's very cool. And in that one, I also had an alien face showed up in the cosmic universe from my kitchen. And, oh, I gotta tell you this real quick. I stacked up because I wanted to take a picture. I was using plates and salt and pepper shakers and stuff to draw my circles because unlike Leonardo, I did not use whatever they call a protractor or whatever this, the thing is. I would just set a plate down. I would draw a circle around it, then I'd do the dimensions on it. Most of the 7-inch plates were my most important. And so I stacked them on the counter. Now, as I was telling you, my wife occasionally does these very cool things that change everything for me. I had them stacked on the counter and all set up, and I have salt pepper shaker, one of the old-fashioned kind on top. My wife comes into the kitchen, and I said, "This is the cosmic universe." And she said, "I get that." I'm like, "You get that? What kind of remark is that?" My wife hates math. And, here I'm talking about complex calculus and complex circles and geometry. And she simply says, "I get that." it was at that point I realized that in the human mind is the conception of all mathematics and all geometry. And she was just using her natural ability. So when she got it, of course, I put it on the cover of the Cosmic Universe from my kitchen. And that is still out there, needs to be published. And so, again, the 2013 thing gave me all of this. And so then we moved here, and I used the adaptation from the X on the floor to orient here. So it turned out here we had a much better orientation. And so 2015, one of the things about this is I was already working on the mathematics of Giza, the pyramid, and Stonehenge. And it turns out that a man that was here in Dublin knew a man named Sir Flinders Petrie that did the mathematics on that. He was also sent to Egypt by the seers, by the spirit world. And so, again, this shows up 2018, 2017. I have migraine, which is really bad, besides the diabetes. And I had what they thought was a stroke. So I ended up in Monadnock Hospital out there in the open. And so we determined that the hernias had to be fixed. So I went up to Cheshire and they botched the job. And so I came back to the house and I was laying around in the old part of the house trying to recover, and I had to shovel the driveway. Now all of this has to do with snow and shoveling and water. And I had already decided that I had bought out all these books. I had bought out books from the library, I bought out Homestead Bookstore books. I had enough books here, patriotic books and everything, to create a library. So I designed my own library, and it was like Monticello. It was a big circular building with a dome, and the dome was going to be a planetarium. And so when this big snow came, I took as much snow as I could get off the driveway, which was a lot. I made a 13-foot circle, which was about 3 feet high and about 16 inches thick. And I had a gal come over. She was talking to me, and we were looking right out at Orion. It was the most beautiful thing you ever saw. And so when she saw that, I was explaining to her, walking around. So I decided I would leave it there and use it for an observatory. There's something else with the mathematics I've been working on. I created in Monterey something called the Great Z Circle. This is a combination of 6 to 8 constellations that come up every night. I combined them together to do the mathematics. When I moved here, the Great Z Circle, part of the Great Z Circle would come up, and I'd draw it. When I moved here, the back of the Great Z Circle was here. And so I drew it again, and I drew all of it. And so this is very cool. When I put in snow, I called it the Great Snow Circle. And that is what I used here this year to build the Stonehenge and build the Great Golden Compass. And it's all the mathematics. Now, on April 8th, I want people to come here. It's now on the ground. I want people to come here and stay here that night and have an outdoor party and in the barn and celebrate it. And there are going to be fireworks, and look at the sky. It's the eclipse. Now, solar eclipse, full one, is one of the rarest ones along. Back in 2015, I took pictures of the solar eclipse here, and I got this beautiful orange moon. All of this can be presented that day, and the whole thing can be done. My mathematics can be set up. I want them set up at the Museum of Science, which is part of this. I've already tried to get them to do part of this. And so all of this now comes together. My point is here, whatever they saved me for and all of what they put me through comes together April 8th, or the eclipse here. And now whatever they had me do, I did. And I guess that's why they saved my family. Oh, they also saved my older daughter, who was going to be hit by a car in Oregon, and they saved my wife, who had a gallbladder removed, and they removed it a certain way that they took the whole gallbladder out in a sack, and in the sack was a cancer cell growing to the side of the gallbladder. They've saved 3 of my people just because of what I did. And so I hope I got this across. We got to cut it off, I guess. So, like I said, this April 8th thing, or if it's April 7th, and finding out about the library thing that they're supporting it, now there'll be people. Bill Gates has to step up to the plate. The Ford Foundation has to step up to the plate because they're part of this. Leonardo DiCaprio will get the best movie he's ever made, and he can be the star because he can be Professor Z. Anything that has to do with Leonardo da Vinci. Oh, the Smithsonian. Smithsonian needs to be part of this because of the telescopes. NASA needs to be part of this because of the telescopes. All these people can contribute small amounts of money, and they will save something so cool. This is a huge piece of history, a huge wedge that if I hadn't existed, and if I had backed out at any time, which I could have, would be gone forever. History is not a renewable resource. So how do you think I should end this? I'm asking you.
Just say thank you.
So thank you for watching this. Hope you enjoy it. I hope you get to read my books. There are currently 165 written, none of them published. And so thank you again for watching this, taking the time.